Imagine standing on the edge of a firelit cave 40,000 years ago. The night is silent except for the crackling flames, the distant howl of a wolf, and the soft murmur of human voices echoing against stone walls. In the shadows, a hand grips a sharpened tool. Another smears ochre across the rock, leaving behind symbols that will outlast their maker. And in that moment, something extraordinary is happening. Not in their hands, but in their minds. The human brain, that strange and fragile organ sealed inside the skull, was undergoing one of the most mysterious transformations in all of evolution, a leap so profound that it would forever separate Homo sapiens from every other creature that walked the earth. But how did it happen? What force shaped this sudden surge of creativity, language, and imagination in prehistoric humans? Archaeologists, neuroscientists, and evolutionary biologists have spent decades piecing together clues. Fossilized skulls reveal brain size, but size alone does not explain the spark of art, ritual, and abstract thought. Stone tools chart progress, yet they don't tell us when thought turned into philosophy. Even Neanderthals, our close cousins, shared fire and complex tools. But why did only our lineage explode into painting, storytelling, and ultimately civilization? This video will take you deep into that ancient mystery, the story of the human brain's evolutionary leap in prehistoric times. We'll explore caves where the first sparks of imagination burned bright. We'll trace fossils and artifacts that whisper secrets about how thought evolved. And we'll ask daring questions. Did survival pressures during the Ice Age sculpt our minds? Did encounters with other human species push us toward innovation? Or was there something far stranger at play? To understand the evolutionary leap of the human brain, we must first set the stage. A prehistoric world filled with danger, scarcity, and competition. Between 2 and 3 million years ago, our early ancestors roamed the African savanna. These were not yet the Homo sapiens we know today, but earlier hominins, Australopithecus, Homo habilis, and eventually Homo erectus. Their lives were dictated by survival, finding food, avoiding predators, and adapting to shifting climates. And yet, within their fossilized remains, scientists have discovered the earliest hints of something extraordinary. Brains beginning to grow beyond the size expected for their bodies. By around 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus had emerged. With a brain nearly twice the size of Australopithecus, they were already reshaping the prehistoric world. They crafted symmetrical hand axes, harnessed fire, and spread far beyond Africa, reaching Europe and Asia. This expansion required not only physical endurance, but also mental adaptability. Fire allowed them to cook food, unlocking more energy for brain growth. Complex hunting strategies demanded coordination and communication. Each small step forward hinted at the dawning of something larger, the brain evolving as a tool of survival. But brain size alone cannot explain the leap. Neanderthals, who thrived in Ice Age Europe, had brains just as large, sometimes even larger than modern humans. Their skulls reveal a capacity for advanced thinking, and archaeological sites show evidence of tools, burials, and even jewelry made from eagle talons. And yet, despite their brilliance, Neanderthals vanished, while Homo sapiens endured. Why? Some scientists point to the emergence of symbolic thought as the true turning point. Around 70,000 years ago, in what researchers call the cognitive revolution, evidence begins to multiply of humans doing things no other species had done. Cave paintings at Chauvet in France depict lions, rhinos, and mammoths with astonishing skill and imagination. Carved figurines like the Lion Man from Germany suggest myth and spirituality. Beads, pigments, and ornaments appear across Africa and Europe, implying not just survival, but culture. How did this transformation occur? One hypothesis emphasizes environmental pressures. During the harsh Ice Age, only the most innovative groups could endure famine and cold. This relentless struggle may have accelerated natural selection for creativity, foresight, and cooperation. Another theory highlights social complexity. As human groups grew larger, individuals needed sharper memory, empathy, and language skills to navigate alliances and conflicts. The brain became a survival weapon, not against predators, but against each other. Then there are more mysterious suggestions. Some researchers argue that interbreeding with Neanderthals or Denisovans might have sparked genetic shifts in cognition. Others speculate about dietary changes, like the inclusion of fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids, as catalysts for brain growth. And a few more daring voices wonder if altered states of consciousness, through rituals or plant use, might have cracked open the door to imagination. Archaeology provides only fragments, but together they paint a picture of a species on the brink of transformation. By the time Homo sapiens spread across continents, they carried with them not just stone and fire, but stories, symbols, and dreams. And those intangible things, art, myth, memory, would prove more powerful than muscle or claw. The mystery deepens when we ask, why did this leap seem to happen so suddenly, after millions of years of slow growth? Was it a spark, a genetic mutation, a cultural tipping point? Or have we simply failed to recognize the hidden signs of intelligence in our prehistoric cousins? In the next section, we will dive deeper into the first core explanation, how the brutal realities of survival in prehistoric times shaped the brain into the extraordinary organ it is today. Picture the Ice Age wilderness, where humans huddled around fires, facing beasts larger than trucks, and yet somehow, through mind rather than muscle, they prevailed. To truly grasp the leap of the human brain, we must step into the world our ancestors inhabited, an unforgiving wilderness where survival depended not only on strength, but on ingenuity. Imagine an Ice Age plain. Mammoths thundering across frozen ground, saber-toothed cats lurking in the shadows, and small groups of humans huddling together, armed with little more than sharpened stones and fire. It was here, in the crucible of danger and scarcity, that the mind became humanity's ultimate weapon. Archaeological discoveries show that early Homo sapiens were not merely surviving, they were adapting in ways that demanded extraordinary brainpower. Take hunting, for instance. Tracking prey across vast landscapes required memory of migration routes, knowledge of seasons, and the ability to plan ambushes. Unlike predators who relied on brute force, humans coordinated in groups, communicating silently with gestures and later with words. This cooperation demanded something more than instinct. It demanded imagination. Each hunter had to picture not only the prey's next move, but also the roles of their companions. It was a mental chess game played against nature itself. One striking example comes from archaeological sites in South Africa, where humans over 70,000 years ago constructed elaborate traps and used poisoned arrows. These strategies required foresight, patience, and teaching. Knowledge could not be stored in bones or muscles. It had to be stored in minds and passed down through stories. Language became the invisible glue holding communities together, and in turn, it reshaped the brain. But the evolutionary leap was not limited to survival strategies. It extended to art and ritual, signs that humans were no longer thinking only about the present moment, but about meaning, memory, and even eternity. In the caves of Chauvet and Lascaux, animals leap across walls with dynamic motion. Archaeologists have marveled at the precision of these paintings, created with charcoal and pigments mixed with spit or fat. But beyond their beauty lies a question: why paint at all? What survival advantage is gained from depicting a rhinoceros on stone? The answer may be symbolic thinking, the ability to represent the world in the mind and then project it outward. This act, unique to humans, was a cognitive revolution. Symbolic thought also appears in burials. The grave of a child in Sungir, Russia, over 30,000 years old, was filled with thousands of ivory beads, painstakingly carved. This suggests not only a respect for the dead, but also a belief in something beyond life itself. Here we see imagination turning into spirituality, and spirituality turning into culture. Such practices required abstract thinking, long-term memory, and a shared mythology, all fueled by the growing complexity of the human brain. Scientists argue that these behaviors emerged from what they call social brain theory. In essence, as human groups expanded, so did the need for mental sophistication. Knowing who to trust, who to avoid, and how to maintain alliances demanded intricate mental maps of social relationships. The brain evolved not just as a survival machine, but as a social engine, constantly calculating emotions, intentions, and hidden meanings. And yet this leap was fragile. Fossil evidence reminds us that humans were never guaranteed dominance. At times, populations nearly collapsed. Genetic studies suggest that around 70,000 years ago, possibly after the eruption of the Toba supervolcano, human numbers may have dropped to just a few thousand survivors. Imagine that. The entire future of art, science, and civilization hanging on a thin thread of survival. In such desperate times, it was not the strongest who endured, but those with minds flexible enough to adapt, innovate, and cooperate. Thus, the story of the brain's leap is not one of slow, steady progress, but of bursts of creativity forged under pressure. The Ice Age world was a relentless test, and in passing it, humans unlocked the power of imagination. From painting mammoths to building traps, from whispering myths to burying the dead, every act etched a deeper groove into the architecture of the mind. Still, mysteries remain. Were these behaviors the result of a single genetic mutation, as some scientists propose? Or did culture itself, once sparked, drive the brain to evolve further, and a self-reinforcing cycle of creativity? In other words, did we invent culture, or did culture invent us? In the next section, we'll dive into core explanation, part 2, exploring debates, conflicting evidence, and the unanswered questions that continue to haunt archaeologists and neuroscientists. For if Neanderthals and dinosaurs also had large brains and complex societies, why was it only Homo sapiens who made the leap into myth, art, and civilization?
If the story of the human brain's leap were simple, archaeology would have closed the case long ago. But the truth is far murkier, filled with contradictions, rival theories, and mysteries that still spark fierce debate among scientists. At the heart of it lies a haunting question. Why us? Why did Homo sapiens achieve this surge of creativity, while other human species, with brains as large or even larger, did not? Let's begin with the Neanderthals. Their brains averaged around 1,500 cubic centimeters, slightly larger than ours today. They crafted tools, used fire, hunted cooperatively, and cared for their injured. Evidence from sites like Shanidar Cave in Iraq shows that Neanderthals buried their dead, sometimes with flowers and pigments. Yet despite these similarities, Neanderthals never produced the kind of sweeping symbolic culture that defines Homo sapiens. No cave art stretching across hundreds of feet, no figurines carved with mythic precision. Why? Some argue that brain structure mattered more than brain size. While Neanderthals had large brains, parts of theirs may have been devoted to vision and movement, adaptations to Europe's harsher climates. In contrast, Homo sapiens developed more neural real estate for symbolic thought, memory, and language. In essence, we gambled on imagination, and it paid off. Others suggest the difference lay in social networks. Neanderthal groups tended to be smaller and more isolated, while Homo sapiens formed vast interconnected webs of trade, storytelling, and cooperation. This cultural scaffolding may have allowed ideas to accumulate and spread like wildfire. Once one group painted animals on a cave wall, the idea could ripple outward, inspiring others. Innovation multiplied. Still, some archaeologists resist drawing too sharp a line. Recent discoveries challenge the old narrative of Neanderthals as unimaginative. A set of cave markings in Spain, dated to over 60,000 years ago, before modern humans arrived, suggest Neanderthals might have painted after all. If true, then symbolic thought was not exclusive to us, but a shared inheritance of multiple human species. If so, the question changes. Why did we carry it forward while they vanished? One theory points to catastrophe. As climates shifted, resources dwindled, and interspecies competition intensified, only the most adaptable survived. Neanderthals may have been outnumbered and absorbed into expanding Homo sapiens populations. Genetic studies revealed traces of Neanderthal DNA in nearly all modern humans, proof of ancient encounters and interbreeding. Perhaps their legacy is not gone, but living within us, whispering in our genes. But there are stranger suggestions still. Some scientists speculate about sudden genetic mutations that altered the wiring of our brains. The FOPX2 gene, linked to speech and language, appears to have undergone a critical change in Homo sapiens. Could this tiny genetic tweak have unlocked the power of storytelling, myth, and culture? Others look to altered states of consciousness, rituals, music, or even psychoactive plants as catalysts for visionary leaps. Could early shamans glimpsing new realities have ignited sparks of creativity that spread across clans? These ideas remain controversial. Mainstream archaeology prefers caution, relying on stone tools and carbon dates rather than speculation. But the gaps in evidence are tantalizing. Why, for example, do we suddenly see an explosion of cave art, ornaments, and symbolic objects across Europe around 40,000 years ago? Why does this creative burst seem to appear almost out of nowhere? Some call this the Great Leap Forward, while others argue it was a gradual buildup invisible to us only because earlier evidence has not survived. Perhaps early humans in Africa were experimenting with art and symbolism long before Europe's caves were painted, only their fragile creations of wood, skin, and fiber have long since rotted away. The debates grow more heated when we look at the broader picture. If imagination and culture were survival advantages, why did evolution take so long to produce them? For millions of years, brains grew larger, but symbolic thought seemed to sleep in silence. Then suddenly, it awoke. Was this leap inevitable or an accident? Could it have failed, leaving Earth to other species entirely? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, is the human brain finished evolving, or is another leap still to come? The truth is, archaeology gives us fragments, not answers. Bones, beads, pigments, and carvings whisper possibilities, but they do not tell us why. Scientists argue, theories clash, but the mystery endures. What we do know is this. At some point in prehistory, the human brain took a leap unlike anything before. A leap that gave us language, myth, art, and the power to imagine worlds beyond our own. In the next section, we will step back from bones and artifacts to ask, what does this mean for us today? What can we learn from the struggles, triumphs, and creativity of prehistoric humans about the challenges of the modern world and the uncertain future we face?
What can the leap of the prehistoric brain teach us now, in the 21st century? After all, the caves are silent, the mammoth's gone, the Ice Age melted into history. And yet, the very organ that painted those walls, that buried its dead with beads and carved lions from ivory, is the same organ you carry inside your skull today. The evolutionary leap of our ancestors is not just their story, it is ours. First, consider resilience. Prehistoric humans faced catastrophes we can barely imagine. Volcanoes that darkened the skies, winters that lasted for centuries, predators lurking at the edge of firelight. And still, they endured. Their survival was not guaranteed, yet their brains found ways to adapt. They remembered where food could be found, invented tools to capture it, and created alliances to defend it. In our modern world, where crises come in new forms, climate change, pandemics, economic uncertainty, the lesson remains.
Survival is not about brute strength, but about mental flexibility, creativity, and cooperation. Second, the leap reminds us of the power of storytelling. When early humans painted on cave walls or whispered myths around fires, they were doing more than creating art. They were forging unity. A shared story is what binds a group together, turning scattered individuals into a tribe, a culture, a civilization. Today, stories still shape nations, inspire revolutions, and build communities. The brain's leap into imagination was not a luxury. It was a survival strategy. And perhaps, in a fragmented modern world, we need stories more than ever. Third, the leap teaches us humility. Neanderthals and Denisovans remind us that we were not alone, that intelligence was not uniquely ours. They walked beside us, thought beside us, and perhaps even dreamed beside us. We are the last survivors of a family that was once larger. Remembering this should temper our arrogance. Evolution did not guarantee our dominance. It gave us a chance, and we seized it. The question is, will we continue to use that chance wisely? There is also a warning in the story of the brain's leap. The very imagination that painted caves also imagined weapons. The creativity that carved beads also carved blades. Our minds give us the power to dream, but also the power to destroy. Prehistoric humans lived close to extinction. We too live with that shadow. Nuclear arsenals, ecological collapse, and technologies beyond our control remind us that intelligence is a double-edged tool. If we forget the balance, the leap that once saved us could become the force that ends us. And yet, perhaps the most profound lesson is this: we are still evolving. Neuroscience reveals that the brain is plastic, changing with every experience, reshaping itself across a lifetime. Just as the Ice Age shaped the minds of our ancestors, today's world, digital networks, global communication, and artificial intelligence is shaping ours. We stand at another threshold. If the prehistoric leap gave us myth and art, what leap might await us now? Reflect on this. When our ancestors looked up at the night sky, they saw constellations, gods, and stories. When we look up, we see galaxies, black holes, and the origins of time itself. Yet the same imagination connects us across those ages. The brain's leap in prehistory was not an end, but a beginning. We are the living continuation of that ancient firelight, carrying forward the flame. So when we marvel at cave paintings or ivory figurines, we are not looking at relics of the past. We are looking into a mirror, seeing the first sparks of ourselves. Their leap is the reason you can ask questions, dream of futures, and even watch this video. And perhaps the greatest reflection of all is this: just as they once asked, what lies beyond the hunt, beyond the fire, beyond death itself, we too must ask, what lies beyond us? In the final section, we will bring together these threads, the science, the mystery, the lessons, and ask the ultimate question: do we truly understand where our minds came from and where they are leading us?
The story of the human brain's evolutionary leap is both breathtaking and humbling. It is the tale of fragile beings, once balanced on the knife's edge of extinction, who forged a future not through muscle or claw, but through imagination. In prehistoric times, our ancestors faced hunger, predators, and ice age storms. Yet instead of yielding, their brains adapted. They learned to plan, to cooperate, to dream, and in doing so, they reshaped the destiny of an entire planet. We have traced the path from the firelit caves of Homo erectus through the Ice Age hunts of early Homo sapiens to the symbolic explosion of art, myth, and ritual. We have seen how language wove tribes together, how imagination painted the walls of Chauvet, how beads and burials whispered of eternity. We have compared ourselves with Neanderthals and Denisovans, asking why only one branch of humanity made the leap into complex culture. Was it a mutation, a catastrophe, a stroke of luck? The evidence is fragmented, the answers incomplete, and yet the mystery itself is part of the wonder. What is certain is that this leap gave us more than survival. It gave us meaning. To imagine is to step beyond the present, to create futures, to see possibilities. It is the reason we build cities, compose music, write books, and send spacecraft to the stars.
The brain that once painted mammoths in the dark now builds machines that can map the universe. The leap of prehistory never ended. It still unfolds within us. But with this gift comes responsibility. For the same brain that dreamed of gods also invented war. The same imagination that carved beads also carved weapons. Prehistory shows us that intelligence is not inherently good or evil. It is a tool, one that can save us or destroy us. The question is, how will we use it? Perhaps that is the true lesson of the evolutionary leap. It is not only a story of where we came from, but of where we are going. If imagination was once the key to survival, it may also be the key to our future, helping us face the challenges of climate change, technology, and the unknown. But only if we remember the ancient balance between creativity and wisdom. So now I leave you with a question. Do we truly understand the origins of our own minds, or are we still standing, like our ancestors, at the mouth of the cave, peering into darkness, painting our guesses on the wall? What do you think? Did the human brain's leap come from survival, from culture, from a hidden mutation, or from something far stranger still? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if this journey into prehistory has sparked your imagination, don't let the fire die here. Like, subscribe, and join me for the next chapter in our exploration of evolution, archaeology, and the unsolved mysteries of humanity. Because the story of who we are is far from finished. The leap of the human brain was only the beginning.